Well, hello again, Dennis Fluer. I'm your host at Tripplanning101.com. As I've indicated on the other videos, the .com means that we do have a website that gives you some specific information in regards to traveling internationally, the things you need to know. There's about 24 items currently on my index, and they're really important to be able to check off, because just about everyone on there is something you're going to need to know or do before you leave home and go off on this great adventure. So other than that, today's subject, hopefully kind of a quick one, has to do with tourist traps. Now, tourist traps come in two forms. When you're on a group tour, you will be taken to numerous places that have some of the specialties of that particular area for you to purchase. Now, this is all part of the tourist industry when you go to other countries, that they want to make sure that you get an opportunity to spend your money. And if you've got a good tour group, they will take you to places that they know that can be trusted, and will have a good selection of things that you can buy, and their pricing is usually fairly fair. So, you feel very comfortable there. And some places you go to, say China, for instance, one of the reasons you get such really good fares going to China is because the tour guides agree to take you to some of the government-operated industries, such as a silk factory, furniture factory, overlay, that type of thing. So you will see some specific ones that, of course, the government in China does operate, but they're good, and they're kind of neat. We've bought numerous different things from them. One thing we learned when we went to the silk factory in China is that they were selling silk ties, things that you could probably pay, $15, $20 here in the U.S., that there you could get a lot cheaper. There were some vendors, I think they worked there out of the factory, that came right out to our bus, came into the bus, and were wanting to sell us these ties, and they were trying to give us some really good bargains, like, what was it, like $5 a piece on these ties. And as we're getting ready to pack up and leave, the price suddenly went from that down to $1 a tie if you bought 10 of them. And they had some pre-packaged groups of 10. And as some people go, well, no, I don't need duplicates of the same one and things like that. So they finally agreed to sell them to us for $1 a piece, and had a variety pack that we could get for that. So I came home with some really nice silk ties, which I currently use. So you can get some really good bargains when you go to some places. But when you're traveling as a group, you will visit certain places that have local crafts and things of that sort, souvenirs, so that you can take home. The things you want to be aware of, no matter if you're in a group or aren't in a group, make sure you check over what you're buying. Not everything's made by some little lady or some man in a little shop behind their house somewhere. That especially you get bulk things. I think a lot of these things are made in China. And so be careful what you buy. Look it over really good. Make sure that it is something that has some worth to you and you aren't paying too much money. So, that's just a tip from me on being able to get a good deal, on being able to get some souvenirs to take home for yourself or for family members you might be bringing home too. Other than that, I want to talk to you a little bit about when you're traveling on your own. Example, we went to Turkey about 7 years ago. It was the first international trip we actually took, and spent about a week touring Istanbul. Istanbul is a 4,000-year-old city, oldest city in the world. And so it is amazing. We had a great time there. People were very gracious, had an enjoyable time. But as we were touring the area where the Blue Mosque is and the Spice Market and some of these places, that there is this church not uh, a mosque, but a Christian church. That Istanbul has traded hands numerous times over the last 4,000 years. And at one time, this was a Christian church. And then when the Muslims took over the area, they covered up all the frescoes, all the artwork and everything in the church, because their churches are quite simple. They don't have a lot of other decoration, other maybe colored tile or something. And but they were restoring this back to its original Christian base. It's kind of a tourist attraction. And so they had this really long line, and so we were getting ready to get in the line, and this fellow came up, speaking very good English. You'll find a lot of people there that do. But this fellow, I think he was actually born in the United States, and then he had family and relatives, and lived there in Istanbul. And he struck up a conversation with us. Somehow he knew that we were tourists, not because I was wearing a Vietnam T-shirt and a Cambodia hat, but for some reason he picked us out. And very pleasant fellow, and he offered to be able to go up and get tickets for us. Excuse me, trying to get over a cough again. And, help us so we didn't have to stand this long line, and kind of show us around a little bit. Well, we were trying to tell him, no, that's not necessary and everything, but he was rather insistent. So I thought, well, that's really nice. So sure enough, he went up, got us tickets, and we walked right in. And he spent time with us explaining about the cathedral and all the different things. And we spent an hour or so inside there and really enjoyed it. And as we were coming back out, he asked us, well, by any means, would we be interested in seeing a shop that he had? There's a couple of blocks from there, and they did carpets, rugs there, and the Persian type thing that you see from Turkey. And we thought, well, he'd been really nice to us and showed us all this. So yeah, we went ahead and went with him, and well, we spent about an hour and a half in his shop. And if you haven't had the experience of going into a rug shop, especially in Turkey, it's quite a show that they put on. They brought us in kind of this, big showroom, had all these beautiful carpets all over the place, and, brought some out and had them on the floor and asked us, well, which one of these would we like? And we looked at them and we thought, well, no, that wouldn't go with, at home, that we don't have a place for it, things like that. Well, they kept bringing out more. Now, they just don't bring them out. They go through this process. It's just simply amazing. These are, big carpets. They're probably, 8 to 10 feet, diameter, kind of circular oval carpets. And the fellow would bring this carpet out and he'd fling it up into the air, and it'd spin around like a leaf and gently come to earth and settle. And, okay, how do you like that one? Do the colors match and things? And, well, no, that's not quite it. Oh, okay, we got more of them. And, yeah, by the time we got through, we had probably a 1.5 to 2 foot deep pile of carpet there. The only challenge we had was that the carpets we're looking at, especially in the size that they were several $1,000s up to maybe $10,000 to $20,000 a piece, and they would ship them for you for free. But they were gracious. We told them no, it's not something we were interested in getting at that time and everything, and they're a little persistent, but that's okay. We just kind of got up and eventually left, and they were fine. We were fine with it. That was just part of doing business. But be cautious. When people come up and want to go to that extreme to help you do something, there is probably a reason behind it. We found it when we were in Italy, something you had to watch. Guy come along, have a whole bunch of roses, in a bouquet thing, and he'd pick out your wife or who you're with, and pull out one of these roses and give it to you, as a beautiful lady, here, have a rose, and you're thinking, oh, well, thank you. Except, he wanted to charge you $10 for that rose. So, be careful. Don't take things from anybody. If you're asking for it, that's one thing. But if someone's trying to, give you something, realize that they aren't giving it to you. They are expecting you to purchase that. So unless it's your idea, yeah, just be kind, say no thank you, and they usually will move on. So other than that, that's my tip for today. Tourist traps. It sounds like not a good word, but there are places that you want to go, and there's things you want to buy when you're in some of these countries. Just amazing, marvelous things. And so just be careful when you're shopping. Realize that tourist traps are just part of the tourist trade, and as you go, be kind, be considerate, be generous where you can, but don't get ripped off. Make sure you know what you're getting, and when you get home, you find out it's not stamped made in China unless you were in China, which would be a good thing. So other than that, hey, you have a really good day, and we'll see you somewhere around the world.